The unexpected war. The sky above Earth was calm. The people below had no idea what was coming. Somewhere far in space, war had already begun. It was not Earth's war, not yet, but everything was about to change. In a dark corner of the galaxy, the Zarketh Empire attacked the peaceful Cathari people. No one knew why. Maybe they wanted more land. Maybe they just liked to fight. The Cathari were peaceful and wise. They didn't believe in war. So when the Zarketh came, the Cathari lost everything. But the Cathari had one secret. A weapon. Not a gun. Not a bomb. A legend. It was said that only someone pure of heart could build it. And it could not be made with normal hands. That's when they remembered Earth. That's when they found him. On Earth, humans still believed they were alone in the universe. Life was normal. Schools, traffic, phones, and all the same. But far away, someone had already chosen a human to help. His name was Eli. He was small for his age, skinny, quiet, and always thinking. People laughed at him, even his classmates, called him weak. But Eli didn't care. He liked to build things. He spent hours alone in his garage, working on strange machines from scrap metal. One night, while Eli was fixing an old drone, a bright light filled the room. Everything shook. Then silence. A tall figure stood at the door, silver skin, glowing eyes, and long robes. It was a Cathari. Eli, the alien said, "We need your help. You are the only one who can make the weapon." Eli blinked. "Me? Why me?" "You have something rare. Heart, patience, vision. We do not need strength. We need someone who understands creation." At first, Eli thought it was a dream. But when he stepped outside and saw the ship waiting for him, he knew it was real. In seconds, they left Earth behind. Stars flew past. Time felt strange. When they landed, he saw the Cathari home, burning, broken, silent. The Zarketh had done this. The Cathari elders led him to a quiet room. It had no machines, just one small table. On it, a glowing piece of metal, not from Earth, not from any known planet. "This is the core," said the elder. "You must build the bow. It will choose its form through you." "But I've never built a weapon," Eli said. "I build drones and gadgets. This is not a weapon of war. It's a tool of power, shaped by peace." Far above, the Zarketh watched. They had heard the Cathari called a human. They laughed. "A human?" one of the generals said. "Those tiny apes? What can one do?" They didn't know who Eli was. Back in the workshop, Eli began his work. Days passed, then weeks. He melted strange metals. He carved symbols. The bow didn't look like much yet, just a frame, but something inside it was alive, and something inside Eli was changing too. He felt stronger, not in body, but in mind. He began to see things differently. How energy flowed, how pieces fit together, how light and sound could shape matter. The Cathari watched in silence. They had hope again. But time was running out. The Zarketh ships were moving closer. Earth was next. They planned to strike it down in one attack, to show the galaxy that even young worlds could fall. They didn't know that a boy from Earth was already building something they couldn't understand. One night, while Eli was asleep, a loud alarm echoed through the city. The sky turned red. The Zarketh had arrived. Huge ships blocked the stars. People ran. The elders looked at the workshop. The bow was still not finished. Eli woke up to the sound of fear. He looked at the bow. It was glowing brighter now, almost ready. He picked it up, and for the first time it responded. The metal shifted in his hands, fitting him perfectly. It wasn't finished, but it had chosen him. He walked outside, holding the half-complete bow. The Cathari stared in silence. The Zarketh soldiers landed on the ground laughing. "Is this your weapon?" one said. "A child with a stick." Eli didn't speak. He pulled the string. Light formed in the air, not an arrow, but something stronger, a line of pure force. The Zarketh stopped laughing. Something had changed. The bow awakens. The ground shook as the Zarketh landed. Their war machines roared. Their soldiers marched through the broken streets of the Cathari city. Towers fell, smoke covered the sky. But all eyes were on the human boy. Eli stood in the center of the city, holding the glowing bow. His hands trembled, but his eyes did not. He looked at the enemy, taller, stronger, armored head to toe, and didn't move. One of the Zarketh commanders stepped forward. He laughed. "This is the mighty builder, this tiny human child." The others joined in. Deep, cruel laughter. Eli said nothing. He raised the bow. The weapon responded like it was alive. When he pulled the string, no normal arrow appeared. Instead, a beam of energy formed, bright, sharp, and silent. He let go. The energy shot forward, faster than sound. It hit the Zarketh tank behind the commander and slicing it in half. No explosion, just a clean cut. The metal melted and vanished. The laughter stopped. The Zarketh stared at him confused, then angry. "Take him," one shouted. Eli didn't run. He turned and fired again. A line of fire burned through the ground between him and the soldiers. They stopped, unsure. The Cathari, hiding in fear, peeked from the shadows. When they saw Eli standing tall, the strange weapon glowing in his hands, they whispered to one another, "It's real. The bow has awakened." Back inside the temple, the Cathari elders gathered quickly. "The weapon works," one said, "but he's not trained," said another. "He is still a child." "He has spirit," the High Elder replied, "and the bow chose him." Far above, the Zarketh mothership opened its cannons. They were preparing to destroy the entire city from orbit. One strike, no survivors. The bow began to glow even brighter. Eli looked up. He could feel the energy building. The bow hummed in his hands like it was breathing with him. A voice echoed in his mind. Focus. He didn't know where it came from. Maybe the bow, maybe himself. But he listened. He aimed at the sky. He pulled the string again. This time, it felt heavier, stronger, like he was pulling light itself. The moment he released it, the air cracked. A blinding arrow shot into the clouds, then, boom, a massive flash. The mothership's cannon was destroyed before it could fire. The rest of the ship shook. Some smaller ships spun out of control. The city cheered. The Cathari screamed with joy. But Eli didn't cheer. He fell to one knee. His energy was nearly gone. The bow dimmed, returning to a quiet glow. The Zarketh commander growled. "He's weakening. Attack now!" The soldiers charged. Before they could reach him, a wall of crystal rose from the ground around Eli. The Cathari had activated their last defense, a shield powered by ancient tech. Inside the bubble, Eli lay on the ground, breathing hard. The High Elder knelt beside him. "You did more than we expected, young one." "I'm not finished," Eli whispered. "I just need time." Outside the shield, the Zarketh were planning something worse. If they couldn't win with strength, they would use fear. They began capturing Cathari citizens, lining them up as hostages. "You have one day," the commander shouted. "Surrender the human, or we end them all." The shield could not last forever. The Cathari were afraid. The elders looked to Eli. "What do we do now?" one asked. Eli sat up slowly. He looked at the bow beside him, quiet again but still warm. "I need to finish it," he said. "It's not complete yet." "But you already stopped a mothership," a young Cathari said. "That was only a part of its power," Eli said. "Right now, it protects. But when it's complete, it will decide the war." As night fell, Eli returned to the workshop. He began shaping the final pieces. Not just metal and crystal. He was using something else now. Memory, emotion, purpose. Every arrow he imagined carried a story, a reason, a choice. The bow started changing. Its shape sharpened. The light inside it pulsed like a heart. The Cathari watched in silence. The boy they once saw as weak was now their greatest hope. Far away on the Zarketh ship, a new figure stepped out of the shadows. She was taller than the others, eyes like black fire, armor made from the bones of fallen worlds. "Who is this human?" she asked. "A builder," the commander said, "but more dangerous than any warrior." She smiled. "Then I'll deal with him myself." The Bone Queen arrives. Dark clouds rolled across the sky. The city of the Cathari was quiet. Too quiet. Eli worked through the night, sweat on his face, hands covered in dust and glowing metal. The bow was almost ready, its edges sharper, its light brighter. But something felt heavy in the air. The elders felt it too. A storm was coming. Far. Above the planet, a large shadow broke through the clouds. It wasn't just another ship. It was something worse. Something the Cathari thought was only a myth. The Bone Queen had arrived. Her ship looked like a floating grave, made from black metal and bones of strange beasts. Spikes covered its surface. Red lights glowed like eyes. The air around it turned cold. Inside, she stood tall and still. Her armor was white and cracked, shaped like a skeleton. Her hair was black as space, floating as if the air itself feared to touch her. Her eyes were deep, black voids. He spoke in a voice that was quiet, but strong enough to make the bravest soldier tremble. "Bring me the human." Back on the ground, Eli looked up. He could feel her. Even before he saw the ship, he knew someone powerful had come. The bow in his hands pulsed, not with fear, but with warning. The High Elder walked to him. "She is here," he said softly. "The Bone Queen, the destroyer of moons." Eli swallowed hard. "Can I stop her?" he asked. The Elder did not lie. "We don't know, but if anyone can, it's you." Then he fired. The arrow became a golden flash in the sky. It flew faster than any eye could follow. It didn't just hit the bone beast, it erased it. The explosion was silent, just a bright light, soft and powerful. The beast vanished. Its armor turned to dust. Its body became stars. For a moment, the war paused. Even the Bone Queen's eyes widened. She had never seen power like that. And now, she was afraid. But the final arrow was gone, and Eli dropped to his knees. His strength was fading. The Queen knew this was her last chance. She flew down like a falling shadow, screaming with rage. Eli tried to stand. The bow was still glowing, but faintly. The Cathari ran to defend him, but the Queen knocked them away like leaves. In a storm, she raised her black blade. Just before she struck, a light burst from the bow. Eli's body lifted into the air. His eyes glowed white. The bow was speaking again, not with words, but with memory, energy, and fire. He didn't have an arrow. He had become one, a living weapon. He flew at the Queen like a comet. Their bodies clashed mid-air. Light and darkness exploded. Everything went silent. Then, the sky turned blue again. The Queen was gone. Her army retreated in fear. The Cathari stood in silence, staring at the sky. Eli was nowhere to be seen. Only the bow remained, floating in the air, untouched. The human star. The world was quiet. The sky was clear again. The Zarketh army had run. The Bone Queen was gone. But so was Eli. No one knew where he had gone. Only the bow remained floating in the air, glowing softly. The Cathari elders brought it to the temple and placed it in a crystal chamber. They lit 1,000 candles around it. They called it the heart of the human star. Days passed. Then weeks. The city began to heal. Buildings were repaired. Families returned to their homes. But something had changed in the people. They no longer laughed at the tiny human. Now they told stories about him. Stories of courage. Stories of hope. The children built wooden bows in his honor. Warriors painted his symbol on their armor. a star wrapped in light. The boy who had once been ignored, one had become a legend. But far above, in a part of the galaxy no one dared to enter, Eli was not dead. He floated in darkness. His body glowed faintly, wrapped in golden light. He wasn't breathing. He wasn't awake. But he was alive, inside the energy of the final arrow. He was no longer just human. He had become something more. Inside this strange space, Eli opened his eyes. He stood in a field of stars. Everything was silent, but he could feel power around him, like the galaxy was watching. Then, he heard a voice, soft, kind, not Cathari, not Zarketh. You used the final arrow. Eli turned. A figure stood before him, made of light and shadow. Its face was unclear, but its voice felt familiar. Who are you? Eli asked. I am what remains of the first builder, it said. The one who made the original bow. Long, long ago. Eli blinked. You're not human? The figure shook its head. No, but like you, I was small, weak, laughed at, until I created something powerful, something pure. Eli stepped closer. Is that why the bow chose me? The figure nodded. Because you fight for more than victory. You fight for others. That is why you are still alive. Eli looked around the starfield. Can I go back? The light dimmed. Not yet. Your body is not ready. But your spirit has become part of the stars. Part of the bow. Eli frowned. Then, what am I now? The figure smiled. You are the human star. Back on the Cathari world, trouble was growing again. A new danger appeared. Not from the Zarketh, but from other alien races. Now that the Bone Queen was gone, other warlords were trying to take control. One by one, new threats came from space. The Cathari fought hard. But without Eli, their strength was limited. In the temple, the glowing bow began to pulse. It was calling. In the starfield, Eli felt it. A tug. A voice. A memory. He closed his eyes. I'm not finished yet. The figure of light raised its hand. Then, return, but you won't be the same. Golden energy wrapped around Eli, stars spun faster. Light filled his body. In a flash of brightness, Eli disappeared. Back in the temple, the bow cracked open. A shockwave blasted outward. The candles blew out. The ground trembled. And then, Eli stood in the center of the room. His eyes glowed, gold. His body was stronger. His skin shimmered like starlight. But he still looked human. Just something more. The Cathari gasped. He returned. He lives. He is the human star. Eli looked around. What happened while I was gone? An elder stepped forward. The Queen's enemies are rising now. They want to take everything. Eli nodded. Then let's show them why the stars chose me. He stepped outside. The sky was already darkening again. Ships approached in the distance. New enemies, new warlords. Bigger than before. But this time, Eli was ready. The bow flew into his hand like it had waited for him all along. It was time for the next battle. The last shot. The stars burned red again, but this time, the people of the Cathari did not run. They stood tall, watching the sky as new warships appeared. These were not the Zarketh. They were worse. A dozen alien warlords, each more cruel than the last, had come to take what the Bone Queen could not. They brought machines, beasts, and weapons that could tear planets in half. They thought the planet was weak. They didn't know. Eli had returned. At the highest tower of the Cathari capital, Eli stood alone. The bow glowed in his hands. His eyes shined like twin stars. He was not the same boy they once laughed at. He was now something more, the human star. Behind him, the elders spoke. These enemies are not like before. They are united. They will not stop. Eli nodded. Then, I won't either. The sky cracked as the warlords arrived. Their ships darkened the sun. Creatures with metal wings flew in swarms. Giant walking machines stomped through the forest. The Cathari prepared for the worst. But Eli stepped forward. Calm and silent, he raised the bow and the sky changed. Light burst from the bow. A golden beam shot upward, cutting the clouds. Every ship in the air paused. The warlords stared at the strange light. Then they saw him. Just one human. Alone. Standing between them and the planet. One laughed. He's just one. Another smiled. Let's crush him. But the leader of them all, the warlord of chains, looked closely. He had heard the stories. The human with the bow. The boy who beat the Bone Queen. His smile faded. This is no boy, he whispered. This is the weapon. The battle began. Explosions shook the sky. Hundreds of warships fired energy blasts at the city. The Cathari shields barely held. Warriors fought bravely, but they were outnumbered. Eli moved like light. He flew into the air, not with machines, but with power. His bow fired arrows of energy faster than any eye could follow. One ship fell, then another, then 10. He didn't miss. Each arrow carried the strength of a dying star. The warlord of chains grew angry. He stepped from his ship and landed on the ground like thunder. He stood 10 feet tall. His body was wrapped in metal ropes that glowed red. He carried a massive hammer made from black suns. He pointed it at Eli. I am the end of planets. You are just a man. Eli's bow shimmered. He floated down and landed gently on the broken earth. Maybe, he said, but I'm the last man you'll face. The final battle began. The warlord charged, swinging his hammer. The ground cracked with each strike. Eli dodged, rolled, and fired arrow after arrow. The bow screamed with light. The warlord roared with rage. Each hit from the hammer could crush a mountain. Each arrow from Eli could pierce a ship. The battle shook the sky, turned air to fire. Then, the hammer struck Eli's side. He crashed to the ground. Blood spilled. The bow flew from his hand. The warlord laughed. You're done. Eli looked up. His body weak, bones broken, but his eyes still burned bright. He whispered, I'm not done. Until I've taken the last shot. He crawled to the bow. His hand touched it, and it responded. The bow glowed brighter than ever before. It gave him one final arrow. It was not gold, not white, but blue, the color of the first sky, a gift from the stars. Eli stood. His legs shook. His breath was short. But he aimed. The warlord ran at him, screaming. Eli pulled the string and let go. Boom. The arrow flew. It didn't strike the warlord. It went through him, through his armor, through his heart, through the chains of every soldier he controlled. And when it hit the ground behind him, the light exploded. The sky turned blue again. The warlord fell. His army fell. The stars were silent. Eli dropped the bow. He fell to one knee. The Cathari ran to him. You did it, they cried. You won. But Eli smiled softly. No, we won. Then, his body faded, turning to light. His voice was the last thing they heard. Protect each other. That's the real power. And then, he was gone. Eli became part of the stars. The bow now rests in the Cathari temple. It waits for the next protector. But none have been chosen since, and across the galaxy, aliens tell stories about a tiny human, a boy they once laughed at, the one who made the strongest bow. The one who became a star, the end, series. They laughed at the tiny human until he made the strongest alien bow. The Bone Queen landed in the center of the city with a group of Zarketh soldiers. People screamed and hid. The Cathari warriors stood ready, but their hands shook. She raised one hand. A wave of force pushed the warriors back like dry leaves. In the wind, I am not here for you, she said coldly. I came for the human. Then she smiled. A cruel, sharp smile. Bring him to me, or I'll turn your city into a field of bones. Eli stepped forward. The bow was in his hand, now glowing with golden light. It hummed like music, calm, but full of power. "I'm right here," Eli said. The Bone Queen turned to him. Her eyes narrowed. She tilted her head. "So, this is the little builder." "I'm not just a builder," Eli replied. "I'm the one who's going to stop you." The Queen laughed. It was cold and slow. You're smaller than my shadow." "Maybe," Eli said, "but shadows run from the light." The Queen lifted one hand. A black spear formed in the air, made of dark energy, shaped like bone. She threw it at him with a scream. Eli jumped aside and fired an energy arrow. The two weapons hit in midair. Light and darkness clashed with a loud boom that shook the sky. People screamed. Dust flew everywhere. When the air cleared, both of them were still standing. But now everyone knew. This was not a game. This was war. The Queen attacked again, faster this time. Blades made of black smoke swirled around her. Eli moved quickly, dodging and firing arrow after arrow. The bow changed shape as he moved. Sometimes it was small and fast. Sometimes it grew larger, glowing brighter with every shot. The two fought through the streets. Buildings cracked. Energy burned the ground. But Eli was not losing. He was learning. Inside the ship, the Zarketh generals watched in silence. "The Queen is struggling," one said. "That boy is not normal," another replied. "He is something new." Back on the battlefield, Eli was breathing hard but still fighting. The bow was now covered in golden lines. Every arrow felt stronger than the last. The Bone Queen floated in the air, angry and wounded. A cut glowed on her armor. She had not bled in 1,000 years. She screamed and summoned a massive storm of dark energy. It flew toward Eli like a wave ready to swallow the whole city. But Eli didn't run. He aimed the bow straight at the storm. He whispered something no one could. "Here," and then he fired. The arrow turned into a beam of pure golden light. It hit the storm head-on. The explosion lit up the sky. Clouds split. Silence followed. When the dust settled, Eli was still standing. The Queen was gone. For now, the city was safe. But Eli knew it wasn't over. The bow, now fully awakened, rested in his hands. It no longer felt like a tool. It felt like a part of him. He turned to the elders. "She'll come back," he said. The High Elder nodded. "Yes, and next time she won't be alone." The forging of the final arrow. After the battle, the Cathari city was quiet. Buildings were cracked. Smoke still rose in the distance. But the people were alive, thanks to Eli. He had faced the Bone Queen. He had survived. But deep in his heart, he knew it wasn't over. She would return. And next time, she wouldn't fight alone. Eli sat in the workshop again. The glowing bow rested beside him. It was no longer just a weapon, it was a part of him. He could feel its heartbeat. It was alive in some strange way. The elders entered the room. "The Queen was wounded," the High Elder said, "but she will return, stronger, angrier." "I know," Eli answered. "That's why I need to prepare." "What will you do?" the elder asked. Eli stood slowly. "I'm going to forge the final arrow." The bow had many arrows, some fast, some sharp, some strong, but there was one more. One final arrow. A weapon of last hope. It wasn't just made of metal or light. It needed something more. It needed truth. Eli didn't fully understand yet, but he could feel it in his chest. The bow was showing him pieces of what it needed. Visions, symbols, memories. It was like the bow was speaking to him. He saw fire, ice, sound, light. He saw a star dying, and a seed growing in darkness. He didn't know what it all meant. Not yet. The Cathari gave him their rarest materials, crystals from their oldest temples, silver roots from the deep ground, a glowing gem from their sky mine. But even with All that the arrow didn't form. Eli stared at the pieces on his table. He was missing something. That night he walked alone through the city. The streets were empty. Everyone was hiding. Afraid, he looked up at the stars. Then he heard a small voice behind him. "You're scared too, aren't you?" It was a Cathari child, no older than 7. Eli nodded. "Yeah, I am." The child looked at the glowing bow in Eli's hand. "But you still fight," the child said. Eli smiled a little. "Because someone has to." The child reached out and touched the bow. It glowed warmer, and in that moment Eli understood. The arrow wasn't just built with rare metals. It needed hope. Back at the workshop, Eli began again. This time he added something new, a drop of his own blood, a piece of cloth from his first broken drone, a carved stone the child had given him, not strong items, but meaningful. As he worked, the pieces started to come together. The arrow formed slowly. Its body was silver blue, its tip glowed with soft gold. Symbols carved into it pulsed with light. It was beautiful and dangerous. The final arrow was complete, but it came with a cost. Eli fell to the floor, weak. The process had drained him. The bow had taken part of his spirit to finish the arrow. The elders carried him to rest. Meanwhile, far away in the stars, the Bone Queen stood in a dark hall filled with smoke and fire. Around her stood the generals of the Zarketh, and something worse. Dark shapes moved behind them. Shadows with glowing red eyes. She raised her broken armor and let them see her wound. "This was done by a human child," she said coldly. The generals growled. "We underestimated him," one said. The queen smiled. "But now, we won't." She lifted a hand. A dark gate opened in space, a portal to the Cathari world. "We leave at dawn," she said, "and we burn everything." Back on the Cathari world, Eli woke up. The bow was glowing brighter than ever. The final arrow rested in a crystal case beside it. He stood slowly. The workshop lights flickered. The High Elder entered. "She's coming," he said. "This time, she brings an army." Eli nodded. "Then this time, I'll be ready." The Elder looked at the arrow. "Will it be enough?" Eli stared at the golden glow. "I don't know," he said softly. "But I'll give everything I have to protect this world." The sky began to change. Red lights appeared above the clouds. Ships broke through the atmosphere. The final battle was coming. The Bone Queen was here, and Eli, the tiny human no one believed in, held the last arrow of hope. The fall of the Cathari sky. The sky turned red. Zarketh warships broke through the clouds like knives. Thousands of soldiers flew down from the motherships, riding metal beasts with burning eyes. The ground shook. The air screamed. The Bone Queen had returned, and this time she brought her army. The Cathari people looked to the sky in fear. Their ancient towers began to fall. Their defense crystals cracked under pressure. Above them all floated the Queen. Her voice echoed across the city. "Your protector is only human. Your sky is mine now." Eli stood at the city wall, the bow in his hand and the final arrow across his back. His heart beat fast. He could feel the fear around him, but he didn't step back. He stepped forward. The Cathari warriors gathered beside him. Their armor was old, their weapons simple, but their spirits were strong. "We will stand with you," one said. Eli looked at them, then at the sky. "Then we fight together." The battle began. Zarketh troops swarmed the city. Their weapons fired bolts of energy that melted stone. The Cathari fought back with spears, shields, and ancient tech. Eli moved like lightning. The bow glowed in his hands with every shot. Each arrow he fired was faster, stronger, and smarter. They curved through the air, struck targets, and returned. To his hand, the enemy fell, one by one, but they kept coming. The sky itself seemed to break open. The Bone Queen watched from above. She was silent. waiting. She had seen Eli's strength before. She wanted him to tire, to burn his energy. Then she would strike. Inside the palace, the Cathari elders activated the last sky shield. A massive dome of light rose over the city. It blocked the next wave of ships in Wanda for now, but the shield was weak. It flickered like a candle in the wind. Eli knew what had to be done. He ran to the center of the city where the shield's power crystal was held. As he reached it, he saw a crack forming. If the crystal broke, the city would fall. He touched the crystal. It was hot and shaking. "I need more time," he whispered. The bow glowed brighter, sensing his fear. Suddenly, a Zarketh assassin appeared behind him, too fast, too close. But just as the blade swung, clang! A Cathari warrior jumped in the way, blocking the strike with his shield. The assassin was thrown back. "You protect us," the warrior said, smiling through pain. "Now let us protect you." Outside, the queen grew impatient. "Enough waiting," she said coldly. "Bring him to me." She raised both arms. From the dark clouds above, a massive creature dropped to the ground. It had 4 legs, 2 heads, and armor thicker than a starship's hull. The bone beast. The ground cracked beneath its feet. It roared and charged toward the city wall. Nothing could stop it except one thing. Eli stepped forward. The final arrow glowed on his back, brighter than ever. The bow hummed in his hand, singing like a battle cry. He pulled the arrow free. As he held it, the wind stopped. The light around him grew still. The Cathari stopped fighting. Even the Bone Queen paused. Eli aimed. He didn't shake. He didn't blink. He whispered a single word. Hope.